Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the huge window of his office on Nexus Prime, watching ships from 12 different worlds come and go. The massive space station hung in orbit around Kepler 442b, its metal walls gleaming under the pale light of a distant star. For 73 years, this place had been the center of galactic power. For 73 years, humanity had been part of something bigger than Earth. Today, Jake felt sick just looking at it. Dr. Lisa Grant walked into his office carrying a datapad. Her face was pale, and her hands shook slightly. Jake had known Lisa for 15 years. She was tough as nails and never got scared easily. Seeing her like this made his stomach drop. "Tell me you found something good in those files," Jake said, turning away from the window. Lisa set the pad on his desk with a heavy thud. "It's worse than we thought, Jake. Much worse. 3 days ago, a human spy had managed to steal classified files from the Council's central computer. The files contained records going back 200 years. What they found inside made Jake want to punch something. "Show me," he said. Lisa touched the screen, and holographic images filled the air above the desk. Charts, graphs, and alien text scrolled past. Jake could read most of the common galactic languages after all these years. "Look at this," Lisa said, pointing to a red line on a graph. "This shows human technology development over the past 70 years. See how it goes up, then suddenly stops?" Jake nodded. Everyone knew that human progress had slowed down after joining the Council. The official reason was that humans needed time to adapt to galactic standards. "Now look at this," Lisa said. Another graph appeared. "This shows what our technology should look like if we had been allowed to develop naturally." Jake's jaw dropped. The second line shot up like a rocket. According to the stolen data, humans should have had faster-than-light communication 20 years ago. They should have had unlimited clean energy. They should have had ships that could cross the galaxy in weeks, not months. "They've been holding us back on purpose," Jake said quietly. "It gets worse." Lisa switched to another file. "Remember the energy crisis on Earth 5 years ago? When half the planet lost power for 6 months?" Jake remembered. Millions of people had suffered. Some had died. The Council had sent food and medical supplies, calling it humanitarian aid. "The Zilani Empire had the technology to fix our power grid in 3 days," Lisa said. "The Council voted to withhold it. They said it would make humans too dependent on alien technology." Jake felt anger building in his chest like a fire. "What else?" "The colony ships we've been building. The Council has been giving us fake blueprints. Our ships are half as fast as they should be and break down twice as often." Lisa's voice cracked. "Jake, they've been sabotaging us for decades." Before Jake could respond, his communication device beeped. Captain Ben Rodriguez's voice filled the room. "Admiral, we have a problem. The Titan's Edge colony is under attack." Jake's blood went cold. Titan's Edge was humanity's newest mining colony, built on an asteroid in the outer rim. 3,000 humans lived there, including families with children. "Who's attacking them?" Jake asked. "Zilani warships, sir. 12 of them. They're demanding the colony surrender all mined materials and evacuate immediately." "On what authority?" "They claim the asteroid is in disputed territory, sir. But our records show we filed proper claims 6 months ago." Jake looked at Lisa. She pulled up another file on her datapad. "Here," she said, showing him the screen. "The Zilani Empire filed a counterclaim yesterday, 1 day before they attacked. It was a setup. Jake was sure of it. The Council members were getting bolder, taking what they wanted from humanity without even pretending to follow their own rules." "Ben, what's the status of our people on Titan's Edge?" "They're holding out in the main shelter, but they can't last long. The Zilani are using mining lasers to cut through the outer walls." "How long until our nearest ship can get there?" 18 hours, sir. Too long." Jake closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened them, his decision was made. "Ben, get me a direct line to the Council chambers. Emergency session." 20 minutes later, Jake stood in the center of the Council chamber. The 12 Council members sat in a circle around him, each representing their species. The Vorthon looked like giant insects with glowing eyes. The Nexari were living crystals that hummed when they spoke. The Zilani resembled tall, thin humans but with gray skin and no hair. Jake had stood in this room hundreds of times before, usually asking for permission to do things that other species did freely. Not today. Council members, Jake began. The Titan's Edge colony is under attack by Zilani forces. I demand immediate action to protect human citizens. The Zilani representative, Ambassador Krell, spoke first. His voice was cold and flat. The humans have built an illegal colony in disputed space. We are simply enforcing galactic law. The territory was properly claimed, Jake said. You filed your counterclaim yesterday, one day before attacking. Time of filing is irrelevant, said the Vorthan Council leader. Priority goes to the species with stronger historical ties to the region. Jake felt his temper rising. What historical ties? That asteroid was empty rock until humans started mining. The crystalline Nexari hummed their response. The Zilani Empire explored that system 300 years ago. Human claims cannot override ancient rights. It was complete nonsense, and everyone in the room knew it. Jake looked around the circle, seeing the same expression on every alien face. They didn't care about laws or rights. They just wanted to see how far they could push humanity. Fine, Jake said. Let's vote. All in favor of protecting the human colony? 3 hands went up. Jake wasn't surprised. The 3 species that voted yes were also junior members of the council, newer additions who remembered what it felt like to be pushed around. All opposed? 9 hands rose into the air. Jake stood there for a moment, letting the silence fill the chamber. 73 years of partnership. 73 years of following their rules, respecting their authority, believing that they saw humans as equals. All a lie. Admiral Morrison, the Vorthan leader said, the council suggests that humans consider relocating their colony to less disputed territory. We will provide assistance with transportation. Jake laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. You know what? He said, looking around the circle one more time. Humanity has been part of this council for 73 years. We've followed your rules, accepted your limitations, and trusted your judgment. We believed we were partners. He pulled out his datapad and activated the recording function. Today I learned the truth. You've been holding us back on purpose. You've been sabotaging our technology, limiting our growth, and treating us like children who can't be trusted with real power. The chamber erupted in angry alien voices, but Jake kept talking. If the council won't protect human interests, then humanity will protect itself. By the authority granted to me by the Earth government, I hereby announce humanity's complete withdrawal from the Galactic Council. The room went dead silent. Jake smiled and walked toward the exit. At the door, he turned back. Oh, and council members, you have 24 hours to get every one of your people off of human ships, stations, and colonies. After that, you're trespassing. The door slid shut behind him, and Jake Morrison walked away from 73 years of galactic partnership. Behind him, chaos was already beginning. 2 weeks had passed since Admiral Jake Morrison walked out of the council chambers. 2 weeks since humanity declared independence from galactic authority. Jake stood on the bridge of the Earth Ship Defender, watching long-range sensors track incoming vessels. 50 ships, all of them belonging to the Vorthan Collective. They're not trying to hide, said Captain Ben Rodriguez, standing beside Jake at the command console. 50 warships in attack formation, heading straight for Earth. Jake nodded grimly. The Council's ultimatum had arrived 3 days ago. Return to Council authority within 1 week, or face collective security measures. Jake had sent back a simple message. Humanity stands alone, and humanity stands ready. Now it was time to prove those words meant something. Dr. Lisa Grant hurried onto the bridge carrying another datapad. She looked excited instead of worried, which surprised Jake. The Mars facility just sent confirmation, she said breathlessly. Protocol independence is fully active. All systems are online. Jake felt a spark of hope. Protocol independence was humanity's biggest secret, a project so classified that even most Earth leaders didn't know about it. For 20 years, human scientists had been working in hidden bases throughout the solar system, reverse engineering every piece of alien technology they could get their hands on. The Council thought they were limiting human development. They had no idea that humans were learning from their own discarded equipment. "What do we have?" Jake asked. Lisa smiled. "More than they expect. Dr. Amy Foster sends her regards from the Phobos Research Station. She says the new quantum torpedoes tested perfectly yesterday. And the ships? 12 vessels equipped with adaptive shielding and phase drives. The Vorthan won't know what hit them." Jake turned to the communications officer. "Get me Commander Ryan Clark." The main screen flickered, showing the face of a young man with determined eyes. Commander Clark was in charge of the newly formed Earth Defense Initiative, humanity's answer to the Council's military threats. "Admiral," Clark said, "my ships are in position near Luna. We've got the high ground. Remember the plan, Ryan? We're not trying to destroy their whole fleet. We just need to send a message." "Understood, sir. Make them think twice about pushing humanity around." Jake had learned a lot about strategy during his years with the Council. The best way to win a fight was to make sure your enemy never wanted to fight you again. The Vorthan fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Jake watched them on the long-range display, 50 green dots moving toward Earth in perfect formation. "They're heading for standard attack positions," reported the sensor officer. "Looks like they plan to surround Earth and demand surrender." "Let them get closer," Jake said. "We want them to feel confident." Colonel Steve Murphy's voice came through the communication system from the Mars Defense Station. "Admiral, we're tracking their movement. They're following Council attack patterns exactly. No creativity at all." That was the Vorthan way. They were excellent soldiers, but they never changed their tactics. The Council had won so many easy victories over the past few centuries that they had gotten lazy. Humanity was about to teach them why that was a mistake. The Vorthan fleet reached Earth's outer defense zone and split into 3 groups. One group moved toward Earth itself, another toward Mars, and the third toward the Moon. It was textbook Council strategy, designed to force a quick surrender by threatening multiple targets at once. "Now?" asked Commander Clark from his position near Luna. "Not yet," Jake said. "Let them commit to their positions." The waiting was the hardest part. Jake watched the enemy ships move into attack formation, knowing that one wrong decision could cost millions of human lives. But he also knew that backing down now would mean the end of human independence forever. The lead Vorthan ship, a massive battlecruiser called the Eternal Conquest, moved into orbit around Earth. Jake could see its weapon ports opening, preparing to fire warning shots at Earth's major cities. "All ships," Jake said into his communicator. "This is Admiral Morrison. Execute Operation Thunderstrike." What happened next took exactly 17 minutes and changed galactic history forever. The 12 human ships seemed to appear out of nowhere. They hadn't been hiding behind planets or asteroids. They had been using experimental phase technology to exist slightly outside normal space, invisible to Vorthan sensors. The Eternal Conquest never saw the quantum torpedo that hit its main engine. The weapon didn't just explode like normal missiles. It created a tiny black hole that lasted for 3 seconds, long enough to tear through the ship's shields and disable its power systems. "What was that?" screamed the Vorthan commander over the communication channel. "What kind of weapon are you using?" Jake smiled. "Human ingenuity, Commander. You should have expected it." The battle that followed became known as the Battle of Luna's Shadow. Commander Clark's ships moved like ghosts, appearing long enough to fire their weapons, then vanishing back into phase space before the Vorthan could return fire. The adaptive shielding was even more effective than Dr. Foster had promised. When Vorthan energy beams hit human ships, the shields analyzed the weapon frequency and adapted to block it. After the first few shots, Vorthan weapons became almost useless. But the real surprise was human tactics. The Council had taught their members to fight like them, using rigid formations and predictable strategies. Humans fought like humans, using creativity, teamwork, and pure stubborn determination. Commander Clark's ship, the New Frontier, took on 3 Vorthan cruisers at once. Instead of trying to outgun them, Clark used the moon's gravity to slingshot around the lunar surface. firing quantum torpedoes from impossible angles. Captain Lisa Ward, commanding the exploration vessel Starwalker, used her ship's advanced sensors to coordinate attacks between multiple human vessels. The Vorthon had never faced enemies who could share targeting information in real time. The most dramatic moment came when the Vorthon commander ordered his ships to target Earth's cities directly. The Eternal Conquest, despite its damaged engines, began charging its planet-killer weapons. That's when humanity revealed its final surprise. The defense platforms hidden in Earth's asteroid belt came online all at once. 50 weapon platforms that the Council had never detected, armed with the most advanced human technology available. The energy beams that hit the Eternal Conquest came from 6 different directions simultaneously. The great Vorthon battlecruiser, pride of their fleet, broke apart in a burst of light that could be seen from Earth's surface. After that, the rest of the Vorthon fleet lost their will to fight. "Human ships," came the transmission from the surviving Vorthon commander. "We request permission to withdraw. We acknowledge your superior tactical position." Jake looked around the bridge of the Defender. His crew was tired but victorious. Earth was safe, and humanity had proven it could defend itself. "Permission granted, Commander. Take your ships and go home. Tell the Council what you saw here today." As the Vorthon fleet limped away from Earth, Jake received reports from across the solar system. 47 enemy ships destroyed or disabled. 2 human vessels lost, with minimal casualties thanks to advanced life support systems. But the real victory was bigger than numbers. Within hours, news of the battle spread across the galaxy. The species that the Council had dismissed as junior members had defeated one of the founding civilizations in open combat. 3 days later, Jake received the first secret communication from the Kepler Union, a group of smaller species who had always been pushed around by the Council's major powers. "Admiral Morrison," the message said, "we would like to discuss alternative arrangements for interstellar cooperation." The Free Worlds Alliance was about to be born. 6 months after the Battle of Luna's Shadow, Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the command center of New Terra, humanity's first major colony beyond Earth. The planet orbited Proxima Centauri, and 50,000 humans now called it home. Children played in the streets of the growing cities while their parents built a new world from nothing. Jake wished he could enjoy the peaceful scene, but the reports on his desk made that impossible. "Admiral," said Ambassador Tom Baker, walking into the command center with a worried expression, "we just received word from the Wanderer clans. The Council has threatened to cut off all trade with any species that joins our alliance." Jake nodded. He had expected this. The Free Worlds Alliance now included 7 species who had left the Council to join humanity. The Council was getting desperate. Dr. Lisa Grant looked up from her research station. "It gets worse. Our spies report that the Council is planning something big. 5 member species are pooling their military resources for a joint operation." "Target?" Jake asked. "Here, New Terra." Jake felt his blood go cold. Unlike the attack on Luna, this wouldn't be a warning or a show of force. The Council wanted to destroy humanity's first interstellar colony, as an example to other species. Captain Lisa Ward entered the room, still wearing her spacesuit from her latest exploration mission. She had been mapping the outer systems, looking for resources and potential colony sites. "Admiral, I have news, good news for once." She activated the main display screen. "My team found something incredible in the Kepler 438 system." The screen showed images of ancient ruins on a dead planet, massive stone structures covered in strange symbols, clearly built by an advanced civilization. "Who built them?" Jake asked. "That's the interesting part," Lisa said. "According to our analysis, this civilization existed about 500 years ago. They had faster-than-light travel, advanced energy systems, and according to these inscriptions, they were once members of the Galactic Council." Dr. Grant stood up quickly. "What happened to them?" "The records we found suggest they ascended to a higher plane of existence. That's exactly what the Council told other species when civilizations disappeared from their territory." Jake stared at the images. "How many other species have ascended Over the years? At least 12 that we can confirm, maybe more. Lisa's voice was grim. Admiral, I think the Council has been harvesting member species for centuries. They let them develop to a certain point, then find excuses to eliminate them and take their technology. The room went silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Humanity hadn't just left a political alliance. They had escaped a trap that had been set for hundreds of years. We need to warn the other species, said Ambassador Baker. We will, Jake said. But first we need to survive what's coming. General Mike Turner's voice came through the communication system from the planetary defense headquarters. Admiral, long-range sensors are picking up movement at the edge of the system. Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Jake activated the tactical display. Red dots appeared on the screen, more than he had ever seen in one place. How many? He asked. Over 200 ships from 5 different council species. Silani, Vorthon, Nexari, Corvin, and Hegemony forces. This is the largest military operation in galactic history. The Eternal Harmony, the Council's flagship, led the massive fleet. Jake recognized it from years of diplomatic meetings. The ship was 3 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy entire planets. Estimated time until they reach New Terra, Jake asked. 6 hours, Admiral. Jake looked around the command center. His people were scared but determined. They had come too far to give up now. General Turner, what are our defensive capabilities? 36 ships, including the vessels from our alliance partners. The Kepler Union sent 12 ships and the Free Traders Coalition contributed 8. We also have the orbital defense platforms we built around New Terra. 50 ships against 200. The odds were better than at Luna, but not by much. There's something else, Dr. Grant said quietly. The quantum resonance scanner picked up an energy signature from the Council fleet. They're carrying something we've never seen before. What kind of something? A weapon that creates quantum disruption, fields. Based on the energy readings, it could sterilize an entire planet in minutes. Jake closed his eyes. The Council wasn't just trying to defeat humanity. They were planning to wipe out every human on New Terra as a warning to other species. All right, Jake said, opening his eyes. Time for Plan Omega. Plan Omega was humanity's most desperate strategy. If they were going to lose anyway, they would make sure the galaxy learned the truth about the Council first. Captain Lisa Ward activated the colony's most powerful communication array. Broadcasting on all galactic frequencies, she said. Every species in known space will receive this message. Jake stood in front of the communication recorder. Behind him, images of the ancient ruins appeared on the screen. Citizens of the galaxy, he began. I am Admiral Jake Morrison of the Human Free Worlds Alliance. In 6 hours, the Galactic Council will attempt to destroy 50,000 innocent people on New Terra. They claim we are rebels who threaten galactic stability. He gestured to the images behind him. This is the truth. These ruins belong to the Altair Confederation, a species that ascended to a higher plane 300 years ago according to Council records. We found their real history carved in stone. The images changed, showing the translated inscriptions. The Altair Confederation was harvested by the Council. Their technology was stolen, their people eliminated, and their worlds strip-mined for resources. This has happened to at least 12 other species over the past 5 centuries. Jake stepped closer to the recorder. The Council is not a peaceful alliance of civilizations. It is a predatory organization that feeds on its own members. Humanity escaped their trap, and now they want to destroy us before other species learn the truth. The message continued for 10 minutes, laying out all the evidence humanity had gathered. By the time Jake finished, the recording had been transmitted to every inhabited world in the galaxy. Now we fight, Jake said. The Battle of New Terra began when the Council fleet reached the planet's outer defense zone. Unlike the surprise attack, at Luna this was a grinding, desperate fight for survival. The Council came prepared for human phase technology and quantum weapons. Their ships had new shields designed to block the weapons that had defeated the Vorthon fleet, but humanity had been preparing too. Activate the Genesis Protocol, Jake ordered. Dr. Amy Foster's voice came from the research station on Phobos, back in the Sol system. Genesis protocol is active, Admiral. Terraforming systems are now weapon systems. What happened next shocked everyone, including Jake's own people. The same technology humans use to transform dead worlds into gardens could also transform living worlds into weapons. New Terra's modified atmosphere began generating massive electromagnetic pulses. The planet itself became a giant weapon, firing energy beams at the Council fleet from its north and south poles. The orbital defense platforms revealed their true purpose. They weren't just weapons. They were components of a planet-wide defense grid that turned New Terra into an impregnable fortress. When the Council's planet-killer weapon fired at New Terra, it hit the modified atmospheric shield and was reflected back at the Council fleet. The Eternal Harmony, flagship of galactic civilization, was destroyed by its own weapon. The battle lasted 12 hours. When it ended, the Council fleet was in ruins, and New Terra stood victorious. But the real victory was the message Jake had, sent across the galaxy. Within days, 17 more species announced their withdrawal from the Council to join the Free Worlds Alliance. The age of the Galactic Council was ending, and humanity had lit the fuse that would bring it down. 1 year after the Battle of New Terra, Admiral Jake Morrison walked through the halls of Unity Station, humanity's newest space station orbiting the neutral world of Haven. The station buzzed with activity as representatives from 63 different species worked together, planning the future of the galaxy. It was hard to believe how much had changed. The old Galactic Council was gone, its remaining members scattered to their homeworlds or hiding in the Outer Rim. In its place, the Free Worlds Alliance had grown into something Jake never imagined possible. President Sarah Johnson met him at the entrance to the main assembly hall. She had been elected 6 months ago as the first leader of the interstellar human government, chosen by votes from every human colony across known space. "Jake," she said, smiling warmly, "are you ready for this?" Through the doors, Jake could see hundreds of beings from dozens of worlds. Former enemies sat next to former victims of the Council's harvesting programs. Species that had never spoken to each other were now working on joint projects. "As ready as anyone can be for making history," Jake replied. Dr. Lisa Grant joined them, carrying her ever-present datapad. She had spent the past year studying the ruins of harvested civilizations, learning their technologies and trying to undo centuries of damage. "The final vote count just came in," she said. "Unanimous approval for the Galactic Democracy Charter. Every species voted yes." Jake felt a surge of pride. The charter guaranteed equal representation for all species, banned the harvesting of member worlds, and established the Alliance military as a defensive force only. They entered the assembly hall together. Admiral Pete Collins, now commander of the Alliance Joint Military Forces, nodded to Jake from his position near the speaker's platform. Behind him stood Dr. Nina Ross, the lead researcher who had unlocked the secrets of the ancient terraforming technology. Jake took his place at the podium and looked out at the crowd. A year ago, most of these beings had been enemies or strangers. Now they were partners in building something better. "Friends," Jake began, "today we make a promise to the galaxy. Never again will strong species prey on weak ones. Never again will technology be used to control and harvest other civilizations. Today we choose cooperation over domination." The applause that followed came from dozens of different types of beings. The insectoid Vorthan clicked their mandibles, the crystalline Nixari hummed in harmony, and the furry Kepler Union representatives barked their approval. But Jake's mind wasn't entirely on the celebration. 3 days ago, long-range scouts had detected movement in the dark space beyond the Galactic Rim. The remnants of the original Council, calling themselves the True Authority, were planning one final attempt to reclaim their power. After the ceremony, Jake met with his closest advisors in a secure conference room. President Johnson activated the privacy shields while Admiral Collins pulled up tactical displays. "How bad is it?" Jake asked. Collins touched the holographic display, showing red dots moving toward Alliance territory. "Bad. They've been building ships in secret for the past year. We estimate 200 vessels. all equipped with weapons we've never seen before. Dr. Ross leaned forward. Our analysis of their energy signatures suggests they're using technology from the harvested civilizations. They've been combining the best weapons and defenses from dozens of extinct species. Jake studied the display. The True Authority fleet was heading for Earth, humanity's homeworld. They wanted to strike at the heart of the rebellion and make an example that would terrify other species back into submission. "What's our defensive position?" Jake asked. "Every Alliance member has contributed ships," Collins replied. "We have over 300 vessels, including the new generation of human ships equipped with Genesis technology." Dr. Grant activated another display. "We also have something the Council doesn't expect, the Restoration Fleet." Jake smiled. The Restoration Fleet was humanity's greatest achievement since leaving the Council. Using technology recovered from ancient ruins, human engineers had built ships that could repair entire solar systems damaged by the Council's planet-killer weapons. "How many worlds have we restored so far?" President Johnson asked. 47, Dr. Ross replied proudly. "Dead worlds that the Council left behind are now green and alive again. Millions of beings who thought their homes were lost forever are rebuilding their civilizations." That was humanity's real weapon, Jake realized. Not the quantum torpedoes or phase drives, but hope. They had shown the galaxy that destruction could be undone, that the damage caused by centuries of Council rule could be healed. The final battle began 2 weeks later in Earth's solar system. The True Authority fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Pluto, their ships arranged in the same rigid formations that had once terrorized the galaxy. Jake stood on the bridge of the Liberty, humanity's newest flagship. Around him, the combined Alliance fleet waited in defensive positions throughout the solar system. "Admiral," reported the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the enemy flagship." The main screen flickered, showing the face of Supreme Chancellor Vex, the last leader of the original Council. His species, the hegemony, looked like tall humans with pale blue skin and silver eyes. "Admiral Morrison," Vex said, his voice cold with hatred, "you have caused enough chaos. Surrender now, and we will allow your species to serve as laborers in the new order we will build." Jake laughed. "Chancellor Vex, I have a counteroffer. Surrender to the Alliance and we'll help you build something better than the empire you lost." "The natural order will be restored," Vex replied. "The strong will rule the weak as it has always been." "Not anymore," Jake said, and cut the transmission. The battle that followed became known as the Last War. The True Authority fought with weapons stolen from a dozen extinct civilizations, technology that could shatter planets and tear holes in space itself. But the Alliance fought with something more powerful: unity. Ships from 63 different species worked together like parts of a single organism. When Vorthon vessels were damaged, Kepler Union ships provided cover while human repair crews fixed their engines. The turning point came when the True Authority deployed their ultimate weapon, a device that could destroy an entire star system by destabilizing the local sun. Dr. Nina Ross activated the Genesis protocol on a scale never attempted before. Instead of terraforming planets, the Alliance fleet began terraforming space itself, creating stable energy fields that absorbed and redirected the weapon's power. The True Authority's planet killer turned Sol into a brighter, more stable star that would burn for billions of years longer than before. "Impossible," Chancellor Vex transmitted as his fleet began to collapse. "How can you turn our weapons against us?" "Because we learned from everyone you destroyed," Jake replied. "Every species you harvested left behind knowledge. We've been putting it back together, making it work for creation instead of destruction." When the battle ended, the True Authority was finished forever. But Jake's greatest moment came 3 days later when former Chancellor Vex asked to meet with him privately. "Your offer," Vex said quietly, "to help us build something better. Did you mean it?" Jake looked at the being who had once ruled half the galaxy through fear and violence. "Everyone deserves a second chance, Chancellor. Even you." 6 months later, Jake stood on the observation deck of the New Horizon, watching as human-led terraforming fleets worked to restore worlds that had been dead for centuries. Behind him, representatives from over 100 species worked together on the bridge, planning new colonies and research projects. The galaxy had learned that when humanity was pushed to the edge, they didn't just fight back. They found a way to make everything better for everyone. Earth had left the council and chaos had followed fast. But from that chaos, something beautiful had grown. A democracy of worlds where every voice mattered, where technology served life instead of death, and where the strong helped the weak instead of devouring them. The age of empires was over. The age of cooperation had begun, and humanity had shown the way forward.